everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Katya, and this is a YouTube where we experiment what I'm gonna do with my channel regarding where I am currently in my career business path. In this episode, I wanted to talk about all the different professions, all the different titles that I have. What got me to making this video is actually something that my friend Sandra, who is an amazing makeup artist back in Slovenia, she used to always say, oh, you know, like you need to focus on one thing and do it greatly. She would always say, jack of all trades, master of none. That would be like almost her tagline. Sandra, don't kill me for exposing you. But I was thinking a lot about this lately just because I am juggling so many different things at once. So I do feel I completely fall into this category of being jack of all trades and master of none. And you know what? I'm fine with it. I've been like this for majority of my life, and I don't really see it changing because I have many interests and I don't see any reason of why not pursuing at least a few of them. I feel I'm gonna call it talents. Like, I have many talents, I have many interests, I have, you know, a lot of creativity in me that I want to express, and I want to express it in different ways. And I do believe that people are not meant to just be doing one thing. I think that this belief of you need to specialize for a certain profession or a certain job is kind of outdated. And if nothing else, I feel the pandemic and the situation that we had in the last 2-3 years has definitely showed us that it's better to develop more skills, more talents than just focus on solely one, because that can easily be taken away from you. And, you know, God forbid, but it happens in so many different areas, not just professionally, but in life as well. Take professional athletes for an example. They focus on one thing and one thing only. Like, they really niche it down to, you know, you could be a runner, but you can specialize in, like, I don't know, 100-meter sprint, or, you know, 300 meters with obstacles, or I don't know. You always specialize in something, right? You always train for one specific area. And then they reach a certain age where, you know, that you physically, you just can't pursue that intensity anymore, and they have to change their lives completely. And many of them find themselves completely lost and knowing what to do with their lives because they were focusing on one thing only for the majority of the life that they had. So when it comes to professions, of course, if you're a doctor, if you're a surgeon, if you're a lawyer, if you're in any kind of industry or line of work where you really need to specialize in something to be good at it and to be able to do your job, of course, it's going to take a lot of focus. But even the most focused and the best surgeon in the world probably has a hobby or two, you know. And I think it's really important to develop that side of you outside of work. And for me, it just so happens that how my career was developing, I started as a journalist, or let's say a blogger, or somewhere like simultaneously those two things happened. Obviously being a blogger was not my job. I did it so that I could enter the world of fashion and world of journalism. And then as well, because I was not able to earn enough money just by writing at that time, I also, well, not because of that, but it was just my interest that I wanted to do styling. So I started both of those two careers together in a small country like Slovenia with only 2 million people. A lot of us, especially in creative fields, have to have many skills and have to do multiple positions, professions, whatever you want to call it, simultaneously anyway. So those of you who come from like smaller markets and the field of work in which you work, if that's fashion or any other, if it's just not as big as, you know, the big cities, then there's a big possibility that you're probably doing a side hustle anyway. But those in big cities and those who are specializing will maybe not understand this as much. But yeah, at least this is, I'm complicating stuff. This is the story of how my career developed anyway. So starting those two things together, and then once I got to the point that I started working at the publishing company where I am now, which issues Elle, Cosmopolitan. It used to issue Playboy. We issue some smaller, more local magazines as well. We have several websites. So inside the company, while my knowledge, my experience was growing, so were my positions also changed. So I went from being an intern as an online journalist. I went to the position of being an assistant to chief editor at Elle. From that position, I changed to executive editor when we were restructuring our editorial staff and restructuring the magazine. And as the executive editor, I also got a chance to work as a fashion editor at Story magazine, and later as a fashion editor at Cosmopolitan magazine. And while I was doing that, I was doing fashion styling, writing. So it wasn't just doing editing, it was producing content as well. It was going to photo shoots. So this is what I mean when I'm saying you would have a position in a company, but you would do multiple tasks, multiple position in that one job. So I was a journalist, a fashion stylist, an editor, I was a photo editor. I could probably find more things that I was doing. So I developed all those skills. And then now, if we fast forward a few years of juggling all those positions, all those tasks, this has kind of led me to the position that happened now, which is the creative director. And if there is one thing that is sure, is if I didn't have all this knowledge working and juggling so many different positions, I would probably not be landing here where I am. It was just a natural progression of how things happened, and it was not my plan at all. It just completely happened spontaneously and naturally that someone saw this potential in the knowledge and experience that I had from working in fashion, to saying like, hey, I know you're not a creative director, but we have this role for you that you would fit in perfectly? Would you be willing to do it? And even though I was thinking about not accepting it because I didn't feel adequate, I was like, I'm not a creative director. I have no experience in creative direction. And then I thought, I was like, that is bullshit. That is complete and utter bullshit. All this experience that I have from my past positions, well, they're still my current position. Oh, the life of a freelancer. You gotta love it. All this experience makes me the creative director. And of course, I needed some external validation of how I was feeling and how I was thinking about this. So I did, you know, what every normal beginner at anything would do. You enter a search tab on YouTube. You don't enter it, you search on it. You know what I mean. And by listening to other creative directors, I got this validation that if you want to do a good job at leading a team of creatives and also being a creative person yourself, I mean, that sounds really, being a creative person. Every person on this planet is a creative person, but I think this is a video for next time. I need to write this idea down. To produce good content, to produce good ideas, let's put it that way, you do need all this vast variety of experiences in different fields, because you do need to understand all the little aspects that go into execution of the project. Does that make any sense? I hope it does. So the whole point of this video is just, if you are anything like me and you're thinking, gosh, I'm all over the place, I'm doing this and that, and you're not confident that your work is good enough because you are juggling so many things, I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think even people who are just focused on one thing can do a shitty job, you know. That has nothing to do with the quality of work. It has a lot more to do with organizational skills than anything else. Like, if you can organize yourself in a way that you can spread your attention around and, you know, do this task, this job today, and do something completely different the next, and if that is bringing you joy and satisfaction and you love your work, then why not? Because honestly, for me, I get, after a few months, few years, I get bored of doing the same thing. Like, I've been at L for 7 years and I was thinking to quit because I felt like it just became a routine and I don't enjoy it, because I was just doing the same thing almost every day. Now that I've taken a role of creative director and I'm focusing also on this completely new area of work, now even the writing part doesn't seem so routine anymore, because I don't focus all my attention just on doing that. And I feel my creativity and my focus has become even better because of that. I think also you do need to step away from what you're doing every once in a while, just to get that perspective, and also just to, like, for your mind to breathe a little bit, and so that you get a chance to detach. If you're not repetitively doing something for 8 hours a day, if there's an intervals of doing something else, something creative, then that task becomes more enjoyable as well. So I feel all the benefits of, like, doing different things different positions, having different jobs, different projects in different fields. And it doesn't have to all be, you know, in one industry. For instance, I also DJ. Not in the recent years, but before I did. So that was another creative outlet for me that, yeah, it was just kind of like fueling other jobs and like fueling other work as well. So there you go. Being jack of all trades and master of none is not a bad thing at all. If you are in this kind of situation where you feel that way, don't. Be proud of the fact that you can do multiple things and enjoy them all and produce good creative work. And I think this is probably it for today. I hope that you got something valuable out of this. Let me know in the comments if you can relate to any of the stuff that I'm saying, or if you ever had doubts about being good enough or your work being good enough because you are juggling multiple different areas or different professions. Yeah, I would really like to know that. I would like to know if there's anyone out there who is thinking in this kind of way, in a similar way. All right, thank you for listening and see you next time. Bye.